Good evening and welcome to the Poets Cafe. It is where artists come to life. The spoken word brings forth the inner creation of hidden treasure, expressing tones and lyrics felt within the soul, vibration that brings stories untold. This platform represents artists of all backgrounds, be it writers, singers, spoken word, artistic expression, and painting, literature, poetry, and a journey through life. Mystery seeks to bring new ideas and opportunities through the mind at all levels. Wherefore my time leaving tomorrow on the wings of yesterday, where birds fly higher than the mystery of dreams never knew. Why do mellow sounds ring silently without ever leaving memories of my lonely blues? We walk by the calls of nature, sing in harmony, pray for the love of the skies, and dance with the stars like a feminine ballerina, gazing across the stage in her soft coat ballerina shoes. Welcome to the Artists of Poetry Cafe show, Poetically Speaking, hosted by Terry Benjamin and Ron C. McCrae. As delighted as we are, we can't wait to engulf a new wave of presenting this platform to our audience. So, sit back and enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Now, let's get started.
And let's get started. And again, I want to thank you so much because we're putting it down and you're picking it up, and I really appreciate that. So grateful for those who have been tuning in, especially those from the beginning. But, Ron, we're getting a lot of people actually watching the show, and especially on TikTok. TikTok, we're getting a lot of likes and a lot of commentary. So again, I appreciate that and really keep that coming. So then this is Poetically Speaking, the place for the spoken word with me, Terry Benjamin, and Ronald C. McCrae. And as always, we want to announce today's agenda. And today's agenda is timeless wisdom for modern times. Timeless wisdom for modern times. As a matter of fact, our basic text for this evening is a book called As a Man Thinketh, which was actually published in 1903. But you're going to see as we get into it a little bit more, some of the things that he's bringing out. Mr. James Allen is the author. What he's bringing out, a lot of things is really appropriate for today, which is amazing to me. But again, we have a lot to cover, so I want to get right into it. So I want to start with the quote of the day. And it reads here, "Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenges, wish for more wisdom." And this is from Jim Rohn, a motivational teacher. And Jim Rohn, for those who don't know, is a gentleman who basically is a master motivational teacher. As a matter of fact, when Les Brown, Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, a lot of these very well-known motivational speakers, they really hold up Jim Rohn as the person who taught them what they know. And so again, as you continue this journey into motivational speaking, into the area of personal growth and self-development, you're going to see many different people. And again, remember that name, Jim Rohn, because he is the man that helped Les Brown, who you may know a little bit better. So again, we have a lot to cover, but, we want to give you what you're used to getting from our program. And of course, I look forward to it, I know, and I know that you do as well. And so we begin, as always, with Ron's poetry. So Ron, what do you have for us tonight?
And before I get started, I'd like to say this, to add to that list, that I find so fantastic, and that is Earl Nightingale.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the man is so inspiring, among others. And also keep in mind, as we always talk about and present various artists, in different books, is that Les Brown was craving. He had a desire to be. Right. He had nothing to offer at the time, but it was his heart. It was his desire. And this is what we try to present to everyone here. Right, yeah. And somebody opened up the door for him, but he was prepared when he wasn't prepared to take on the opportunity to do it first.
That's right.
And he tells his story to tie into poetically speaking,
that's
no
right,
matter how you look at it.
That's right.
Be a motivational speaker. And that's what's important. So here's what I have today. thinketh. Renewing the mind changes the way you think and changes the direction of how you live your life. Thinking can be positive or negative. You choose. Misalignment can cause a chaotic disaster in and out of a twisted frustration. Do you think? How do you think? What do you think about? Mm-hmm. And here's a quote from the Bible, and you may find it in many other books. Hosea 4:10 states, "My people perish for the lack of knowledge." The foundation of the mind is to obtain all that surrounds it in life. The root of existence to function on a daily basis for the good of the mind, body, spirit, and emotional growth, which leads to health and wellness. It brings all into focus, witnessing between good and evil. The two main purposes are to seek and understand what life is. That cannot be obtained unless one opens up and allows the flow of energy to exploit the mainframe of one's mind. Proverbs 3:5 states, "In all thy ways get an understanding." Ecclesiastic 1:18, "For in as much wisdom is much grief." Isaiah 11:2, "Is the spirit of wisdom and understanding." Now these are just short, but you can read it for yourself. Mm-hmm. Thoughts, what are they? And does one use the mind? Genesis 50:20, "Think evil against me, but God meant it unto good." Mm-hmm. The joy of life is happiness, having a prudent spirit, cultivating a herbal life all around, and lifting others out of dark, gloomy, and despairing craters. But how can one expand on those things when one chooses not to utilize the mind at its worth? Use it or lose it. Look around at the less fortunate who have, for whatever reason, not been able to use what you fail to cherish. Mm-hmm. Great philosophy from the school was created for the purpose of thinking, mm-hmm. such as Epicureanism, and I apologize for the lack of pronunciation, mm-hmm. and how he viewed the world. While Alexandria and Pergama became the renowned cultural center of the Hellenistic world, Athens remained the prime center for philosophy. Thereafter came Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, who continued to attract the most illustrious philosopher from the Greek world who chose to establish their schools there. Where is your school of thinking? Inquiring minds wants to know.
Brother, I thank you for that. You know, and so the name of that poem is "Thinketh," and just two things I want to look at in your poem. The first thing you mentioned Aristotle, and Aristotle, you know, again, and Socrates. These were ancient philosophers, and just to show how important what they had to say is, we're still quoting them. We're still looking at them. You know, it was Socrates who said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." So what he's saying is that, you know, make your life mean something. Make your life be a lesson for others. And so as we examine our lives, has it been worthwhile? You know, we need to ask ourselves that. And what is your legacy? And also, my brother, I like what you have this line here. You said the joy of life is happiness. You know, what else is there? What else can we give each other? What else can we share with each other? And so again, you know, the program is really to expand your mind and really to expand and develop our sense of community. And that's why we offer this platform to Black, white, Hispanic, whatever, you know, and as we go through our weeks, especially coming in April, which is officially Poetry Month. So we're going to have many different voices, many different poets, many different perspectives. And we offer that because in the final analysis, what we want to give you is a platform for you to build your critical thinking skills. And that's why we in the program, the last half an hour usually is food for thought, where we really present to you some things to think about because, again, like I said, we want to develop a community of critical thinkers. And my brother, you really help us when you give us this kind of material.
You know, just to add to that too, and that's what we had talked about before, doing a self-discovery. We presented it. I wrote a piece about it, you know, Archaeological Cafe. Those who remember. Delve into yourself. Examine who you are from the inside out, no matter how you look at it. You know, every single microscopic element from the DNA that you can't even see is extremely important. Think about it, study it, understand it, see how it works, and see how to connect. And that's why we're here, to connect with you, for you to connect with us, to connect with somebody who's afraid of something. But the door is open. We want you to come and say, hey, let me in. I have something. What do you have?
Yeah, and the thing is, what we're saying is that the mindset, you know, there's two types of mindset, you know. There's the fixed mindset, you know, and then there's the growth mindset. And I don't have to tell you what is the best, okay? Because that fixed mindset is going to keep you in the place that you've always been in. And that's not good. That's being stagnant, you know. But the growth mindset is putting you on a path to greater expansion. Because, again, and that's why we advocate lifelong learning, because that's going to lead to healthy aging. Because you can't really stop the aging process, but you can slow it down to the point where, although we may be in our 70s, 80s, and 90s, if the mind is still alive, if the mind is growing, we can bring in things that are going to help us live a better life. Because, again, you also mentioned in your piece, which I really appreciated, you talk about the mind, the body, and the spirit. And so there's three things. There's three things that are moving at the same time. Good mind, good body, and good spirit. And, again, as you develop those three things, you're really going to have a better life. And, again, as I always say, happiness is good, but joy is even better. And so that's what I'm striving for, Ron. I mean, I've had happiness, you know, I have a little joy, but I want more joy.
And those who know, heard in church, whatnot, joy cometh in the morning. So when you wake up, do you wake up mad? Because we talked about this before. Or you wake up in the moment of being joyful to say, you know what? Thank you. I feel happy in the moment, even if it only lasts a moment. But change the way you think, and you'll change the way you feel. And the way you feel will help you move forward to accomplish something that's going to be prosperous, motivational.
Yes.
And everything else falls into place, no matter how you look at it. Now, I can be wrong. Depends on how you think. But nevertheless, from my perspective, it's a foundation of happiness.
No, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong. As a matter of fact, I think you're on the right track, you know. And that's why we always bring you books, you know, because, again, we consider ourselves pretty knowledgeable and pretty intelligent, but I always like to speak with reference, because whatever I say, I can usually back it up with something that I read from a book. And today, you know, we're going to go into the Mind, Body, and Books segment, but we're going to expand that because, again, the whole program tonight is really based on this book, As a Man Thinketh, by James Allen. And, again, an amazing thing to me is the fact that this book was written in 1903, but it has relevance for today. And one of the things that I want to share, and this is from the book, and the way it's said, it's a very short book, and it's usually coupled with other books, you know, because if you pick up a book by James Allen, it probably has his biography. But in this edition of the book, it has As a Man Thinketh, and then it has another part of the book is called From Poverty to Power, which is another book. But I just want to read a couple of paragraphs this is from the first page of the book. And this is just one chapter in the contents, and I just want to list this briefly here. This is the contents of the book. Thought and character, okay? Effect of thought on circumstances, another topic. Effect on thought on health and body. Thought and purpose. The thought factor in achievement. visions and ideals. And the last one, and I think about you, brother, when I was looking at this last part of his book, Serenity. And I remember your epic poem, Serenity on the Shore. And I also remember the musical background. But I just want to read a couple of paragraphs from the first chapter, and this is Thought and Character. And it says here, and this is James Allen, the book of Proverbs 23:7 proclaims, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. This adage reaches out to every condition and circumstance of human endeavor. Each of us is literally what we think, our character being the complete sum of all our thoughts. As the plant springs from and could not be without the seed, so every one of our acts springs from the hidden seeds of thought that could not have appeared without them. This applies equally to those acts called spontaneous and unpremeditated as to those that are deliberately executed. Action is the blossom of thought, and joy, is the word again, and joy and suffering are its fruits. So again, we talk about the fruits of the Spirit. And in this book, he says that thought gets everything started, okay? Napoleon Hill said, Napoleon Hill says, think and grow rich. James Allen says, as a man thinketh. And so again, this is what we're happy to present to you today, and we're going to go into this a little further. And it's so funny because you have a copy of this book here, and yours is a little different because, like I said, there are different editions of the book, okay? Because in his book, it includes the biography of James Allen and then also commentary. And so again, whether you read this edition or that edition, this book is powerful. And the thing that's most powerful, it was actually produced in 1903, and we can go into this book and get some gems out of this book, you know? And let me ask you, do you know when you first came upon that book, did somebody refer you to that, or did you were you just going through the bookstore and say, you know what, this looks kind of interesting, I'm going to...
You know, what's interesting is because things, you experience things that you don't even realize. And for me, and as when I started getting to writing, it's like you're always thinking, looking, and curiosity.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And honestly, I think I was in school. I might have gotten this book maybe 2010. Not sure, but I saw the book As a Man Thinketh.
Yeah.
And before we go on, I just want to also,
some
I think
other
I
books.
Pick this one up.
Yeah.
Addicted thinking. Are you addicted to your own thinking?
Yeah.
But we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
But this is how I ran across this one.
Mm-hmm.
And just the other thing, like quick, as you indicated, originally published in 1903, but also as I go down, it says in the Library of Congress, in the category, and published, words are tiny, but it says Alan James, 1864 to 1912. So that tells me, as we talk about Aristotle and all those, they go way back.
That's right.
They go way back.
Yeah.
So the power of these books and the writers and every microsecond as we continue to talk to you is thinking.
Yeah. And the thing that's so great about literature is these books live long after the author is dead and gone. Okay, he's dead, he's gone, but his words, his thoughts, they live on. They live on in the hearts of those. And again, I always say, Ron, like these may be old books, but you know what? If you never read this book, this is a new book for you. So you got a new book, even though it was written in 1903. For you, it's new. And again, and I know a lot of these books, you read this book and then you read another book that's related to this book, and before you know it, you have a whole library of books on the same topic. And so again, we're just so happy that you're with us, that you're on this journey with us, because again, it is a journey. And at this point, we don't know where we're going, but we're going. And again, I just can't really thank you enough for tuning in. Now, for me, this is one of the parts of the program that I really enjoy because it's called Music is Lit. And in this I entitled this Timeless Wisdom in Song, and specifically New Birth Classic Soul. Now, New Birth is a group out of Detroit, Michigan. And as I would think about, Ron, think about songs that I've heard that just sort of stuck with me. And I thought about a lot of songs that really once you hear it, you never forget them. And I realized that a lot of the books that a lot of songs that I was thinking about were really from this group, New Birth. And so I'd like to share 3 of these songs. And as I go through these songs, you might say, well, I don't know New Birth, or I don't know what they do. But when I begin to read the lyrics, you're going to say, oh, yeah, I know, that's my favorite, you know. And then I read the next one, no, that's my favorite. And then the last one, the last song is just devastating, you know. It's like when I read the beginning of My End. A lot of people didn't know it was about Unifics, but I said, yeah, I heard that song, and it really stayed with me. So I'm going to say the best for last, but I'm going to start with these 2. And the first one is entitled, It's Been a Long Time. And this was actually released in 1973. And this is from New Birth. And New Birth was it was a self-contained band, because they had the band members, and they had singers. They had 2 singers. They had a male singer and a female singer. And I want to talk about this particular song, and I want to read it. It's called It's Been a Long Time, New Birth, 1973. And it reads, it's been a long time since I saw you. Tell me, girl, how long has it been? I'm so glad to see you because I really love you. You were my only friend. You for me and me for you. Oh, listen, baby. You for me and me for you. It's been such a long time. Girl, I still love you, and I guess I always will. But in my silent nights, I long to hold you tight. It's you I really need. You for me and me for you. Listen, baby. You for me and me for you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been missing you, baby. Yes, I have. Here's what you got to do. You got to do for me. You got to understand me. I got to understand you. You got to hang on in there. You got to hang on in there, baby. Understand me? Hang on, hang on, hang on. I need you. I need you. Hang on, hang on, hang on. The only thing I can say is been too long. And that's It's Been Too Long by New Birth. And again, as always, I encourage you to listen to the song, because I don't do it justice in terms of the music and the singing and the expression. But I just wanted you to get the words. And the second song here, this might be a little more familiar to you. Now, this is from New Birth, of course, but this was released in 1971. And it's a song called It's Impossible. And in this one, they had a female lead singer on this song. And I read, and she says here, impossible. Oh, impossible. It's impossible. Tell the sun to leave the sky. It's just impossible. It's impossible. It's impossible. Ask the baby not to cry. It's just impossible. Oh, can I hold you closer, closer, closer to me, baby, and not feel you going through me? Split the second, honey, that I never think of you, and how impossible. Oh, oh, oh. Can the ocean keep from rushing to the shore? It's just impossible. It's impossible. If I had you, could I ever want for more? It's just impossible. Oh, and if tomorrow, should you ask me for the world, somehow I get it. Baby, I sell my very soul. I won't regret it. No, for to live without you, to live without your love, oh, it just ain't no way. No, baby, no. Can the ocean keep from running to the shore? It's impossible. Oh, and tomorrow, should you ask me for the world, somehow I'll get it, baby. I will sell my very soul. I won't regret it. No. For to live without your love, oh, it's just impossible. Impossible. Oh, impossible. Impossible. Oh, impossible. Impossible. Oh, impossible. So that's a lot of impossibles right there, Ron. That's a multitude of impossibles,
It's interesting because, as you indicated, which is extremely important, listening and understanding the lyrics and the message behind it. Too many of us, and even when I was growing up and whatnot, you always get up up in the music, you're bopping it down with this and that. But how often do you really listen to the music? It's a message. Right. And it's interesting because I wrote a couple of things centered around that, but we'll get into that at another time and whatnot. But to understand, I'll give you this, to understand, and matter of fact, a long time since I've seen you. That's powerful right there.
That's right. Yeah.
You may not understand, but think about just that.
Yes.
A long time since I've seen you.
Yeah.
Something sparks something energy, but too many have closed minds.
That's right.
They don't listen, so they don't receive. But they're gossip over everything that they lack the understanding of.
That's something, yeah.
Whether it's friends or get involved with it. It's been a long time since I've seen you. Listen to me. Right. Sweet lady.
Yes, it's been a long time since I've seen you. How long has it been?
How long has it been?
Yeah, and the thing is, it's so interesting, Ron. Again, we are men of a certain age, and we've known many women and different love relationships, and really just known women just to see their growth. And again, we're at the age where we know some of the stories from beginning to end. I can tell you somebody who lived and who died and is now buried. I mean, as one story I always recall about this brother who I met in high school, his brother named Seymour. And we all knew that Seymour was going to be a doctor. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. This brother was brilliant. But what happened, and this is how the story goes, he became an alcoholic. And all those dreams, all those hopes that we as a community have for him was just dashed. He's still a great man, I don't know if he's still alive, but when he got into his alcoholism, he had a girlfriend who stood by him and even married him. And, and they sort of, went their way together. But that's a story. That's a story that has an ending. It's not the ending that we would have projected, but it's an ending that happened. Again, and the older that you become, the longer that you live, you're going to see stories from beginning to end. Now, this last poem that I'm going to read is a showstopper, okay? And it's been recorded by New Birth, but also recorded by the OJs and many other people, And when I first saw it, man, it stopped me in my tracks. Because I said, what the heck? And it was so poetic that I had to listen to it like a few times. And I remember back in the day when you had your little hi-fi stereo and you had your record player and you put the record down on the record player and you put the needle on the record and it goes, and if it's a 45, then you want to bring it back and you put the needle back again, man. I remember I put the needle on this thing like 4 or 5 times because it really touched me, And so this song is a song that I again, this is classic, okay? If you tell me that you know something about soul music, R&B music, classic soul, whatever you want to call it, and if you don't know this song, we ain't got nothing to talk about. Okay, I like you. You're a good man, a good woman, but we can't talk about R&B. And we definitely can do the music of the 70s. You can't talk about it. Yeah.
And before you go on, just real short.
Yeah.
Seymour.
Yes.
Because if it's the same one, I kind of remember him. Did he wear glasses?
Yes, he did.
Light skin.
Yeah, tall.
Short fro. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
he was bright.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's a community story because everybody knew Seymour.
Yeah.
And especially if you're coming from Elizabeth. And the thing is, and then there were other brothers, who were great in basketball and sports and whatnot. But, a lot of times, they were good in the sports but not good in academics. So they got all the breaks and whatnot, but they couldn't reach their full potential because of the intellect.
And we have, not going to tell you, but I'm just telling you, we're going to have a guest come on to tie into the exact same conversation because this is important because no matter how you think and feel, what you look like now, what's important is how you think on the inside. But I'm going to leave that alone because this is not that session.
Yeah.
So we're going to come back to you.
Yeah, because again, everybody has a story. Everybody has a story to tell, and that's why I like reading, because the more I read, I get a chance to experience other people's stories. And like I said, we're going to have some people come in here who have a very sad story to tell, but you know what? They change it around. And so let me get to this song, so I can really blow your mind here. And so this, again, New Birth, 1973. It's a very good year. And this name of the song is Wildflower. It's a classic. And it goes here. She's faced the hardest times you could imagine. And many times her eyes fought back the tears. And when her youthful world was about to fall in, each time her slender shoulders bore the weight of all her fears, and a sorrow no one hears till rings in midnight silence in her ears. Let her cry, for she's a lady. Let her dream, she's a child. Let the rain fall down upon her. She's a free and gentle flower growing wild. And if by chance that I should hold her, let me hold her for a time and allow me just one possession. I will take her in my arms. I will take her in my arms to be mine. Be careful how you touch her, she'll awaken. And sleep is the only freedom that she knows. And when you walk into her eyes, you won't believe the way she's always paying for a debt she never owes, and a silent wind still blows that only she can hear, so she goes. Let her cry, for she's a lady. Let her dream, she's a child. Let the rain fall down upon her. She's a free and gentle flower growing wild. Let her cry, oh, she's a lady. Let her dream, 'cause she's a child. Let the rain fall down upon her. She's a free and gentle flower growing wild. She's a flower growing wild. She's a flower growing wild. Man, that's a mind blower. You know,
I got tears in my eyes now.
yeah. And again, and when the OJs sing it and Eddie Levert, again, now I'm just giving you the lyrics. I'm not giving you all the ad libs and whatnot. But man, when they go into that, man, let her cry, let her cry, let her cry. Let the rain fall down upon her. She's a gentle flower growing wild. Man, you can just see that, because it's so poetic and it's so heartfelt. Because if you ever fellas, if you ever loved a woman, you want the best for her, And we know as men and women, we have our secret compartments. There's things that men don't talk about, because we don't want to seem too vulnerable. There are things that women don't talk about because they don't want to get hurt. But this song is just so beautiful because it really encapsulates all that hurt and all that vulnerability. But it talks about the desire, the deep desire to be understood, to be held, and to really be able to express ourselves in a very, very real way. So again, New Birth, Wildflower. Check it out, and really, put the song in. And I bet you, if you listen to it one time, you're gonna have to listen to it again, because again, it's just that powerful. And and again, and see, these are the songs that inspire poetry. These are the songs that it's really it's the poetry. It's the poetry that really gets you. And then when you get somebody singing it, like they sing it, and you got the music going on with it and whatnot, I tell you, man, one of the things that I always say, Ron, if I was to come back again, in my life, I told you I wanted to be a writer. But I tell you, boy, if I came back, if I had a chance to come back again and live it over, I think I want to be a musician and I want to be a singer. If I was a singer, you can shut me up. And we have Mr. Robert Caberstock. He said, on deck. Thank you, Robert. See, Robert Caberstock, man, he was one of my day ones. When we came on the air, Robert was right there. And Robert, I thank you so much, but I really appreciate you. So as a poet, does this poem inspire you? Is there anything in the book that relates to this?
Absolutely.
Because like I told you before, when I started the program, I would think about and tell this program point, counterpoint, One poet would read a poem, and the other poet would have a counterpoint, And I always tease my brother in terms of, I always challenge him, because he's just a creative person. But I know that as I was talking about, Wildflower, I saw him sort of moving in his chair, getting ready to come up with something nice, and that's why, really, we encourage you to comment, and also we encourage you to come on the program if you have some poetry to share, and also in the commentary, you can also suggest some topics that you would like us to address, and we'll do that because, again, like I always say, this is not just our program, it's my program, it's his program, but it's also your program. And like I said, my brother, sometimes he speaks from different books he's written, but sometimes, I'll give him an outline for the program, and he'll come up with something new because this poem that he started with, Thinketh. I don't think that was created before we started talking about this particular program. So again, he has some stuff here, but you know what? He got a lot of stuff coming off the dome as well. So you got something for us about?
Yes, and honestly, and I'm going to be truthful with you.
Please.
I mean, I listened to the song 1,000 times, but it's really only the first part. You listen to the word and all of a sudden you fade out because you get into the music and whatnot. You feel in love and all this and other good stuff.
Yeah.
But the reality is, as you just read the lyrics to that, it really brings back a place to really think about what was happening in that moment. Now, the first thing I thought about when you started out was, in my piece, without a purpose. I can't figure out what my life is all about. But he was going through something. But as you continue, the other piece in here is on page 9, I think it is, is I Need a Whisper.
Yes.
That set the tone of what this message, how I understood it and understand it. I need a whisper. Right. Women don't always come out and tell you, and even if they do, they're telling you from the inside out. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to say this. You might attack me, but I'll defend myself if you can prove me wrong.
Yeah, we got to check when we go out, make sure,
Exactly. And that is that, are you listening? When she's silent, are you listening? If she's grumbling and complaining, as you may interpret it, are you listening?
Yes.
Listening is the most important. That's what we talked about. And all that ties into all of our platform, the art of conversation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When you go back, if you haven't listened to that song, go back.
That's right.
Because he's saying something what she was going through, but yet and still in the same token, he was rendering the spirit of raindrops to fall on her because of her tenderness, her loneliness, her internal place for love. And you can find that in scripture, in the Bible, in the Quran, or the Torah. If you search the scripture, you look for any book that's written on itself here on earth, you'll feel, if you read and understand what is the person saying. And I'm a firm believer since the beginning of my life, as I started getting into it, is the fact that, listen, women are saying so. Look in the animal world. I don't want to take up too much time, but look in the animal world.
But you on the road, brother.
The female animals is you looking for that comfort. They're not raising hell just because they're looking for the comfort. But if you don't know what that means and you have not taken time to examine the moment of what she's feeling that she can't explain all the time, that's important because that's powerful what you just read. Listen to it.
And before you read your poem, I just want to put this out. Again, one of the things as an artist, and especially when you're writing, like I said, I've written a lot of poems, also written a lot of novels. And when I read a novel, I like to read a novel in the first person. And when I write a novel, I like to write in the first person. And sometimes the first person could be a female. And so I'm not a female, but I have to write that character, that character is believable. So I have to really touch the feminine side of myself, because I do believe that in any truly masculine man, you have a masculine side, but you have a feminine side. The masculine side may be rough and tough and that kind of thing, but the feminine side, you might want to dress up, you want to look nice, you want to look, well put together. You might like, some soft music as opposed to something that's harsh. And again, when speaking to a woman, like my brother said, if you want to really get your woman's attention, don't speak to her harshly. Speak to her in a soft tone. As a matter of fact, speak to her in a whisper. Can you do anything with that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I'm sort of setting them up, yeah.
Absolutely.
A whisper.
Just a whisper. Hey, baby. How you doing?
Oh, look out. This is Mr. Midnight DJ over here. Yeah.
Here's what I have. I need a whisper. Inspired by a soft tone of her voice, she said, I need a whisper. A whisper chalice as the heart. Feelings move inward, falsely and uncontrolled, moving in the spine, creating such massive shakes. As the nerves became paralyzed by the spasm, and the thoughts journey into a land never explored before. I need a whisper, she said, to move my mind into an intellectual place of time, enthralled by the warmth of a whisper. Whispering illustrates an image of silhouettes, surrounded by honeybees and dragonflies, consumed by the warmth of the air. I'll share my thoughts, she said, but you cannot hear the sound of my voice calling. As she stood standing in the threshold of time, I wrapped my body around her like a precious jewel, sparkling with deep compassion. She shouted with joy, and the soft breath behind her earlobe soothed her fears with the words of love as the tears fell from her cheeks. I'm drawing near, she said, near to a place where her body is caressed by my fingertips, and the pressure seeps deep in her soul, rising to a heavenly feeling never explained before. Her mind calls in the wild, screaming, I need a whisper. The pounding beat, thump, footstep up and down her shoulder, down her thighs as she cries out, never wanting another. I can feel your hands slide down the full length of my body, turning in and holding me in an arched position. When I cried, I needed a whisper. And for a moment, I lost consciousness, but you were there to revive me, and I became oblivious. But with a whisper, you called my name. With just a whisper, your voice called me near, filled with opulent joy. My soul found peace in the wild, seduced by you, your love. And the rhythm and blues moved through my veins when I felt your grip as I tensed and came from a place of insecurity, embraced by your locked arms as I trembled without any pain, just because of your whisper, your voice. Your name lay dormant deep in the hollow echo of my soul when you whisper my name.
Well, that was hot. You know, that was, again, that's a good example of erotic poetry, you know. Again, you know, when we talk about erotica, understand, you know, there's a difference between erotica and pornography. You know, when you're talking about something erotica, that is really to you know, deal with the senses, you know, and that's what we mean when we're talking about, you know, in a whisper. Dina Robinson, another of our day ones. Dina, you know, good evening, and Dina has been with us since the very beginning. And Dina says here, I'm listening, Terry, Benjamin, and Ronald. And Dina, I thank you. I thank you and Robert. And Dina, and I guess this is for you, Ron, because she says, wow. And then she got two eyes, and she got one of these, and she got three hot flames. So I don't know how to interpret that. But I think that Dina liked your poem.
Hey, there's firemen all around.
but again, you know, the poetry and the mind, you know, I'm speaking as an adult here. You know, people like to talk about sex, but you know, sex doesn't begin down here; it begins up here.
That's
right.
You
know, and the older you get, the more that you realize that. You know, and again, as we get into our 60s and 70s and 80s and so forth, we still want that connection. You know, we still want to be held. We still want to be loved. We still want to be listened to. And so again, brother, I think you sparked the whole thing here, because Dina Robinson says again, I love his poem. And then she has the emoji here. You know, I tell you, man, you know, obviously this is something that, you know, we need to continue. And again, I read that poem many times, but I think tonight, man, you put a little extra fire on it. You know. I don't know why that is. You got inspired by something, right? Well, I think it was the wildflower, right?
It was a moment. Kept saying, hey, Ron, do you have something? But, you know, it's interesting because, again, I don't have a clue when Terry come up with something. But when he reads something here on the platform, I had already written something, may not directly, but it relates to.
That's right.
And that's how the flow goes back and forth. So when he asked me if I have something, either I could do something in a moment or I have something prepared. But the point of is the conversation and the connection that really inspires you, that inspires us, and hope and pray that we will continue to inspire you. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I think even right now, in a short period of time we've been on this podcast, we got enough for the next 5 years. And that's without you.
That's right. Yeah,
You know?
that's a solo show.
Exactly.
And again, starting this Sunday, we're going to have a guest on, and I think as I look at my schedule, I think, Ronnie, every Sunday we're going to have a guest. And so again, we want to give you something that you can really cherish. And as we move on, it's the food for thought segment of the show, and I want to start food for thought this evening with a quotation. And this is a quotation from Ramallah Muhammad. And a lot of people say, well, I don't know Ramallah Muhammad, but if you watch Hulu and if you watch the show Reasonable Doubt, you'll know who Ramallah Muhammad is. Ramallah Muhammad is the creator and the showrunner for TV's Reasonable Doubt, which is, I think, is about going into its 3rd season, and is one of my favorite shows. And this is a quotation from Ramallah Muhammad, which I got, ironically, from this magazine. This is Essence magazine, and it's still being published. It's very rare to actually get a magazine that you can hold, because most of the time they have them like it's on the computer. It's digital. But this Essence magazine is still on the newsstand, and I really enjoyed it. But they have an article on Ramallah Muhammad in this magazine, and that's where I get my quote from the day. And the quote is, "Black love is not just romance. It's platonic love, familial love. It's supporting each other." And I want to read that again because I want you to get that. Black love is not just romance. It's platonic love, familial love. Is supporting each other, okay? And so as we go into our discussion here, and I entitled this portion of the program, "As a Man Thinketh Today." We're going to go into the book a little further, and we're going to bring out some things from the book. I want to go here in the book here, and this is really, I think, timely for today, because a lot of us, we want things, and we pray for things, and we plan for things, but then you have to ask yourself, are you worthy of these things? And I'm not saying worthy because you paid for it, but I'm saying worthy because is your mind right? Is your mind right for this blessing that you're going to receive? And then James Allen says here on page 13, and I want you to listen to this closely. He says here, "We do not attract that which we want, but that which we are." I'm going to read that again. "We do not attract that which we want, but which we are. Our whims, fancies, and ambitions are thwarted at every step, but our innermost thoughts and desires are fed with our own food, be it foul or clean. The divinity that shapes our ends is in ourselves. It is in our very self. We are manacled by ourselves, thought and action. We are the jailers of fate. They imprison, being base. They are the angels of freedom. They liberate, being noble. Not what we wish and pray for do we get, but what we truly earn. Our wishes and prayers are gratified and answered only when they harmonize with our thoughts and our action. If you say you want to break a bad habit, then you move in that direction. If you say, for example, you want to stop smoking, then you don't hang around smokers. I know a lot of people, I never had this problem because I never smoked cigarettes, but the one guy was telling me how he was trying to quit smoking cigarettes. And so what he would do is that he wouldn't buy any cigarettes. But yet, when the smokers went outside to smoke, he would fall behind them. And although he wasn't buying any cigarettes, he would ask, can I have a cigarette? And then he thought, okay, well, I won't do that. I'll puff off their cigarette. But the point I'm making is that he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready to stop smoking, because if he was, he wouldn't have done that. And the thought is, we do not attract that which we want. It's not about what we want, but that which we are, okay? What we want and what we are has to be in harmony. If you want to stop smoking, when the smokers go out to smoke, you don't go out with them, okay? Because we get not what we want, but we get what we are. And this was in 1903. I think it applies to today. What you say, Ron? What you think?
Everything applies today. And seriously, because as we have, in essence, the exact same book, just skipping here and there, whatnot, because every word, every second, every conversation, every thought comes into play. So I just want to read something, but let me show you this. As you just read the last page, addictive thinking. Are you addicted to your own thoughts? And so, honestly, this is just me. That's where you have to take it a self-examination to find out, are these excuses?
That's right.
Because you do what you want to do or what you need to do. Well, there's a difference between need and a want.
That's right. That's
I
right.
want to try, but
yeah.
are you making every effort to do it? But let me just read this in the same book, As a Man Thinketh, by James Allen, just in this short piece. And I don't know if you read this before, but anyway, man is the master power, molds and makes. And man is mine, and evermore he takes. This is a piece of poetry. The tool of thought and shaping what he wills brings forth 1,000 joys and 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. Environment is but his looking glass.
Would you read that again?
See,
that really, you read that last line there. 'Cause
exactly.
That sparks something to me,
And it's kind of hard to go without going back to, let me read the whole thing.
Okay.
Mine is the master power that molds and makes. And man is mine, and evermore he takes. The tool of thought and shaping what he wills brings forth 1,000 joys, 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. Environment is but his looking glass. And that ties into, I think, the piece I have, without a purpose.
Yes.
And so no matter how we look at it in the art of conversation that we always talk about, everything sparks something that's already written, somebody has done, and this conversation is what helps builds for all of us to revisit and to continue to be a new person.
Yeah, and the thing is, the Bible always talks about renewing our mind, and going back to James Allen book, and this is in the chapter on thought and purpose, because I talked about the mindset, and the mindset is really animated by action. You can think something forever and until, but until you move on it. Like, again, one of my heroes is Tyler Perry, and I know a lot of people have a lot of problems with Tyler Perry for one reason or other, but that's on you, because my thing with you is that when was the last time you made a movie? And also his last movie, Duplicity, was actually filmed in 2 weeks. They did a whole movie in 2 weeks on the Tyler Perry at the Tyler Perry studio. So again, thought and action. And this here is under the chapter thought and action, and reads here, until thought is linked with purpose, there is no intelligent accomplishment. With the majority, the ship of thought is allowed to drift upon the ocean of life. Aimlessness is a vice. Such drifting must not continue for those who would steer clear of catastrophe and destruction. What they say about an idle mind? It's the devil's workshop. Because again, an idle mind has no direction, has no purpose, and what happens, it has no good end. But again, I know that a lot of times we are plagued by doubt and fear and what if I don't do it, what if I don't make it, and whatnot. I would say go to Mr. James Allen again, and he says here, When we have conquered doubt and fear, we have conquered failure. Let me read it again. When we have conquered doubt and fear, we have conquered failure. Our very thoughts are alive with power, and all the difficulties are bravely met and wisely overcome. Our purposes are seasonably planted, and they bloom and bring forth fruit that does not fall prematurely to the ground. Thought allied fearlessly to purpose becomes creative force. Let me read it again. Thought allied fearlessly to purpose becomes creative force. Once we know and accept this, we are ready to become something higher and stronger than a mere bundle of wavering thoughts and fluctuating sensations. Once we apply this in our lives, we become the conscious and intelligent wielder of our mental powers. Control your mind. Control your mind, and you can do that. Just like you control your body, you can control your mind. A lot of us have food addictions, you know. You may be addicted to sugar. And I have been. You know, I couldn't have a meal without having dessert. So what I had to do, you know, I instead of having ice cream or soda or some kind of sugary beverage for dessert, now I have fruit. Okay, I might have some grapes. My go-to is berries and strawberries and that kind of stuff. You know, so I'm saying, you know, sometimes you got to substitute what you don't want with something that you do want. And Dina is back again, and she says here, to stop any bad habit is a mindset thing. It all depends on how bad you want to do it. And Dina, I want to say that again because you teach it here right now. You say here, Dina Robinson says, to stop any bad habit is a mindset thing. It all depends on how bad you want to do it. Like last time we were talking about that dog that was lying on the tack, you know. He's lying on the tack and he's moaning and groaning. Oh. And the guy walked past and he said, why is that dog moaning and groaning? Well, he's laying on the tack. Well, why doesn't he get off the tack? Well, it's not hurting bad enough for him to get out of the tack, you know. Because I tell you, man, the human body and mind can really suffer a whole lot of pain. And sometimes you get used to the pain until it's relieved. You say, why did I let myself do that, you know? I mean, if I had stopped drinking and stopped drugging and whatnot, I would have a better quality of life. I would look better. I would feel better. I would smell better. But I spent 4 or 5 years doing this, and I don't blame you for that. That happens to all. But when you see a way out, when you see a door opening, when you see the light, and you could go to that light and be bathed in that light and grow and develop in that life, that's a beautiful thing. That's what you call grace and mercy.
She'll follow you all the days of your life.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and we're not saying that it's easy, because it's not easy, but it's possible.
It's possible, and that's the key right there. This segment, thinking, your thoughts, and as you indicate, it's not easy, and that's wherefore it only becomes hard when it becomes addictive.
That's right.
And once you recognize it and realize it, then it becomes a pattern of a negative behavior. And so, just in one line before you go on, to go back to the poem I read, that one piece, the tool of thought and shaping what he wills brings forth 1,000 joys, 1,000 ills. And let me read this in my the paragraph that I read. Thinking can be positive or negative. You choose. Misalignment can cause a chaotic disaster in and out of a twisted confusion.
That's it, you know. And again, I think I got 2 more things I can read from this book here. And again, this is from As a Man Thinketh. And I just want to read these 2 things to leave with you. Number 1, we can only rise, conquer, and achieve by lifting up our thoughts. We can only remain weak, abject, and miserable by refusing to lift our thoughts. And the second point that I want to leave with you this evening, there can be no progress, no achievement without sacrifice. And our worldly success will be only in the measure that we sacrifice our confused animal thoughts and fix our mind on the development of our plans and the strengthening of our resolution, and self-reliance. And for the higher we lift our thoughts, the more upright and righteous we become, the greater will be our success. The more blessed and enduring will be our achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, and Dina and Robert, you know, life is what we make it. You know, and we have many models and mentors, and they don't have to be actual people that you know. It could be in books. It could be books that we present to you. And so again, you know, we thank you. Ron, I'm gonna give you a minute to say what you got to say, and we got to get out of here.
I'll take less than that. A book we presented before, Think and Grow Rich.
Yes.
Forget the material of the dollar, but think and grow rich in your life.
That's right.
And again, as I presented before, what are the leading causes of life? A prescription for living at your highest and best. What are the leading causes of life? What is life to you?
Yes, and again, what is life to you? What does life mean to you? And what are you willing to sacrifice? Because like James Allen said, you know, you have to make some sacrifices. But sometimes the sacrifice is really small in comparison to what you will achieve by letting certain things go. You know, making your body resist different things. You know, I don't understand this because I've never been in this position, but there are people who go out to party and they just get tore down. You told them yesterday, how was last night? Oh, last night was great. I drank, I smoked and everything and whatnot. I mean, I had a headache, I was throwing up and whatnot, you know, but I had a good time. That doesn't sound like a good time to me, but then again, I'm corny. I'm nerdy. I read books. I read glasses.
I can't remember nothing.
Right. But the point, you know, again, what's fun for some people may not be fun for others, you know. But this is fun for us, what we're doing here tonight,
Absolutely.
You know, what we do here on Poetically Speaking. So again, it's Poetically Speaking. We're here Thursday from 6 to 7 and Sunday from 5 to 6. And again, we invite you, you know, to join us because we have a good time, you know, because you know we put this program together because we think that it was of value to you. And so, Ron, say good night.
You know, and I want to say good night. Be safe. We love you. Continue to make your comments. And again, our door is open, but it's only open if you knock. If you don't knock, we got security.
Because you won't get in here without an invite, you know. Understand that. But again, thank you so much, and we'll see you.
And be safe.
Yes.